Coming up on Mountain News this morning, the state capitol building will soon be closed to the public, potentially for several years. And a House bill that could keep cell phones out of the classroom.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Good morning. My name is Amelia Lee here with you on this Thursday, February 27th, and we are at 5:33 this morning, which means it is time to check in with meteorologist Megan Dusmall. And Megan, I know when I left the building, as in my house this morning, no rain in sight, but I do have to say, I think I heard some pitter-patters from the rain on the building today. So is that expected throughout our time this morning?
Well, yeah, when I left this morning, there was no rain either, but it is on its way. It's tracking its way through the state, and we have seen quite a bit this morning. We'll continue to see some throughout the next couple hours, but the main story this morning, other than the rain, would be those temperatures, because it's not too bad outside. We're talking 50s, some places seeing 60s this morning, but as you take a look towards Chicago and the Twin Cities, those temperatures are coming our way. We'll be looking at those temperatures dropping throughout the morning hours as that rain continues into our region. Here's a look at those current temperatures, because again, it's really warm for this time of year and this time of day. 55 degrees in Hazard right now, 51 for Manchester, 57 for London, and 64 for Jacksboro and Harlan, and we will be dropping again throughout the day. Here's a look at that rain as it continues to move throughout our region, clearing out as we go into the midday hours. Amelia?
All right, thank you, Megan. Well, it has been some of the worst flooding people in eastern Kentucky have seen in decades. Yesterday, Kentucky lawmakers were briefed in Frankfort on some of the devastation left by the deadly flooding. People say it will be years of recovery, but despite the loss, their communities have gained a lot of help. WYMT's Phil Pendleton has more about the testimony lawmakers heard in a Senate panel.
Once again, the price tag to recover from deadly flooding will be steep in eastern Kentucky.
They've given us some preliminary numbers, and their preliminary numbers are mind-boggling. In my 5 counties, it's over 30 million.
2 senators from that region of the state told lawmakers in the Appropriations and Revenue Committee the flooding destroyed a lot of roads, bridges, businesses, and homes across the region. And Senator Philip Wheeler says he was told that Pike County was the hardest hit.
Maybe months and years before they get their lives together. And, you know, considering the already struggling economy with some of the downturn in the coal industry and other traditional means of employment, this has been very devastating to the region.
Despite the loss from the damage, Senator Philip Wheeler says he's seen a lot of help come into his community, both from in Kentucky as well as from outside the state. He says there has been help even from North Carolina that experienced its own devastating flooding just last year. Senator Wheeler says it's been heartwarming to see a lot of different people come together to help.
Those types of things really show that at the end of the day, we're one Kentucky and really one nation, because, I mean, it's not just folks around the state, it's nationwide.
I had a lot of calls also, and people willing to help, and it's going to be a long recovery, but going to be very costly.
Lawmakers say that in the future there may have to be more flood walls built, but they say in the short term, dredging or cleaning of rivers and creek banks may help as well. In Frankfort, Phil Pendleton, WYMT Mountain News.
The Senate Budget Committee only heard testimony yesterday, and no action was taken on any bill dealing with the flood. Kentucky lawmakers were provided an update regarding current and future renovations at the state capitol yesterday. Starting next summer, the state capitol will be closed to the public for many years. The cost of the renovation is nearly $300 million. Temporary House and Senate chambers have been constructed next to the Capitol Annex, where lawmakers will be for at least the next 3 sessions. A bill that could keep cell phones out of the classroom passed through a House committee yesterday morning. The bill requires local boards of education to adopt policies to prohibit students' use of phones during school, including how it's implemented and enforced. The bill raised questions about student safety and access to technology in case of an emergency. House Bill 208 is co-sponsored by Representatives James Tipton and Josh Bray.
as these policies have been rolled out in different states across the country, you know, some people have just a plastic device where students will put their phones in. So obviously there would be quick access to that.
It is similar to a bill filed last year with an added social media component. This year's bill would prohibit social media and make the sites inaccessible through school technology unless it's allowed by a teacher for an instructional purpose. Kentucky lawmakers are looking to increase the penalties for those caught street racing. House Bill 465 would increase fines for the first offense from $200 to $1,000. The cars that were racing could be impounded for 6 months or longer. According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, speed-related traffic deaths shot up 21% between 2018 and 2023. The bill passed the committee and now heads to the full House. President Donald Trump says he's revoking a permit that allowed Chevron to pump and export oil from Venezuela. On social media, the president said he's ending the agreement because Venezuela's leader has not met certain democratic electoral conditions and because the country is not transporting the citizens from the U.S. fast enough. The Chevron permit was granted back in 2022 by the Biden administration, and it has been responsible for about a quarter of Venezuela's oil exports. The U.S. House of Representatives budget proposal to cut trillions of dollars in taxes has some Kentuckians worried it will carry over into Medicaid, potentially cutting funding and services to those who need help with health insurance. Experts say Medicaid helps 1 in 4 Kentuckians. That's almost 1 million Kentuckians on the health plan. Dr. Sheila Schuster advocates for Kentuckians with disabilities. She says just the talk of cutting Medicaid is a real concern.
Yes, it does absolutely scare the hell out of me. Medicaid at the state level, and I'm sure at the federal level, is one of the biggest ticket items, one of the costliest programs.
In a statement, Republican Congressman Hal Rogers responded to Medicaid concerns, saying lawmakers have no intentions of gutting any vital programs. However, he says they are cutting waste and abuse of taxpayer dollars to protect programs like Medicaid in the future. A Johnson County man is facing charges after he reportedly stabbed someone who was trying to break up a fight. On Monday, police were called to a home on Boyd Street in Paintsville. Police say they spoke to a man who had a large laceration on his face. The victim says he was trying to break up a fight between his sister and Christopher Stewart. Police found later that Stewart was hiding inside an abandoned vehicle. He was taken to the Big Sandy Regional Detention Center. In Rockcastle County, a murder trial is moving forward. A judge ruled that Clayton Cox is competent to stand trial during a hearing Tuesday. He was charged with the murder of Joshua Dooley last year. KSB says Dooley was found in a home with fatal gunshot wounds. Cox also faces evidence tampering and gun possession charges. A trial date has not been set. A man charged with the murder of a Letcher County woman appeared in court yesterday during a motion for Vincent Fleming. A motion was put in to try and hire an attorney in the case, but it did not come to fruition. Fleming was indicted on a murder charge by a grand jury. He's suspected of killing Renata Bailey. A pretrial conference remains scheduled for March 26th. A Laurel County man was arrested after deputies say he pointed a gun at a woman. Ethan Chitwood was arrested in East Bernstadt Tuesday afternoon. Deputies say a woman doing yard work told them that he pointed a gun at her. He told investigators he was pointing the gun at the woman's dog. He faces a wanton endangerment charge. Also in Laurel County, a man is facing charges after his car caught fire on Tuesday. Deputies say 44-year-old Patel crashed a car into a ditch on Somerset Road shortly after midnight. The car caught on fire shortly after Patel got out. He was charged with DUI. A telephone pole fell, causing a hillside fire and power outage in Knott County. It happened on Highway 160, right in front of Hot Rod's Pizza. Kentucky State Police got the call around 4 yesterday afternoon. The Hyman Fire Department and the Division of Forestry were dispatched to the fire, which has since been controlled. Residents of the Housing Authority of Knott County told WYMT they were without power for about 4 hours. No outages are being reported. Harlan County Judge Executive Dan Mosley is now serving as president of the Kentucky Association of Counties. He says local governments have responded well to disasters, including the recent flooding, but he says they also need to plan ahead.
We have found ourselves in Kentucky here over the last 5 years in disaster after disaster after disaster. And you oftentimes have to go back and figure out, what was I working on before when times were good? What was I working on before this disaster struck? So trying to focus on strategic planning so that county officials have a way to go back and say, well, we're going to work this, we're going to plan our work.
Mosley is a guest on our sister station WKYT's Newsmakers program, which airs this weekend. Coming up, an actress known for her role in Gossip Girl is dead at 39.
And we are cooling down today, but colder weather is on the way.